Well, we've rambled on quite a while. I don't know if it's.
No, this is great. I have one more set of questions I'd like to ask you,
Yeah,
which is about sort of history and stuff. Do you have time for it?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that the way we live and the things we do every day cumulatively make the world, and it's sort of banal, but but real. And as I was filling up at the gas station, and there's annoying TVs on the gas pumps,
I know it.
I'm
I
like,
hate those things.
when the fuck did this become normal?
Yeah,
Normal
it's
that
talking to you, and you're like, no.
yeah, I do. It sort of represents for me like the little things that we do every day build up into the world we live in, and component of that is also style, and that's something that I've noticed that people who do this not just to kill things or not just for a profession but for a life, they bring a style to it. Uh, Mike, you're big into the history and the culture of the lifestyle, whether it's hound hunting, cowboying, just sort of Western life. What's the importance of hound history and Western culture to our community in the present day?
Well, unknown to a lot of people that in the Southwest, especially, hounds have played a very, very important role with the pioneer families that moved here, that came here from other areas and carved out a living here in the Southwest, especially those in agriculture, because hounds were a way of life. Almost every ranch in the Southwest kept a pack of hounds. They had to, for predator protection, because when you're raising cattle out in areas that are non-fenced, mountainous areas and stuff, you're naturally creating another food source for uh, large carnivores, be it bears, wolves, or lions. And so that just became a very, very integral part of ranching in the Southwest was hound hunting. And as time went on, a lot of people specialized in it. We always talk about the Lee brothers and the Goswicks and those people, and they had government hunters. But a lot of people back then didn't travel a long ways. We didn't have the four-wheel drive vehicles we have. We didn't have the cell phones, and a lot of times they didn't even have land phones. So people a lot of times had to take care of it themselves. So they had to raise those hounds themselves. They tried to get the best of the best that they could get from families that were successful, and then they would keep their own programs going. That way they could take care of the problems themselves. And a lot of times that built into a passion for the sport of hound hunting, and that's why so many of these really, really great strains of hunting dogs were raised right here in the Southwest, were developed here in the Southwest. So yes, it's a very integral part of it. And a lot of these people came from other areas. I mean, they might have come out of Texas, they might have come out of Louisiana, and as they further pressed into the West, they brought their dogs with them. There just wasn't any dogs to draw from. So yeah, it became just as big a part of anything else. And so, yeah, some of that has kind of gone away now with programs and conservation programs and different things. And a lot of people say, well, we've got a government hunter to take care of that, a government trapper, or we know this guy that's got dogs and that. A lot of people have gotten away from it because it's easy to pick up a cell phone and say, hey, Warner Glenn, this is so-and-so down the road. I had a calf killed last night. Can you bring your dogs and be over here tomorrow morning and such, and they can do it. So it's kind of changed quite a bit, but there's still a real part of that history in there. And Warner, of course, Warner's close to 90 now, but he's a real historian too, and so was his dad. I never got to meet either one of them in person, but his dad was a wonderful guy, and we used to write letters back and forth when I was just budding out as a lion hunter, and he gave me some good advice, and unfortunately, he passed away before his time. But Warner carried on and is one of the truly great ones. And there's just a lot of good ones, though. I mean, there really is. A lot of these dry ground hunters, you never hear of them. You don't know their name unless you're really in the fraternity and the group. And think of guys that are fabulous hunters like Steve Smith. A lot of people don't really know the depth of Steve Smith's experience in lion hunting. It's tremendous. A lot of people don't know Steve Smith's written a book.
Mm-hmm.
And
And what role does that history and culture have in the community? What would you say to the guy who goes, I don't care, I'm just out there buy a couple dogs.
Yeah, I think there's that element. I think in anything, and there are those people, and that's fine. To me, that history was so great. I was always an avid reader. Still, am an avid reader. Got a large library, and as a young person, even before I could read, I had three sisters that were older than me, and of course, you knew I had kind of a sickly child there for a while. I loved to be have stories read to me, and I didn't want little yellow books read to me and stuff. I wanted hunting stories to be read to me.
Mm-hmm.
So Outdoor Life and Sports Afield, and those were the books that I wanted them to read. So they would have to come and read to me. And I can remember some of my earliest stories were about the Lee brothers and hunting jaguars and hunting lions and hunting bears with hounds and stuff. So this dream was built early in me, and I could visualize it. It was a vision that I had. And even though my dad, like I said, had bird dogs and stuff, I would take the bird dog and try to catch stuff with it. And I was successful enough that I spoiled one pointer to the point that I could catch raccoons with him. I could catch a bobcat with him now and then. And I catch badgers with him. I mean, because that was something I wanted to do. So when I got old enough to have hounds of my own, I made the decision. And from that point, I've had my own pack of hounds since I was 20 years old. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It strikes me that sort of humans are naturally social animals, and I don't care what, we all like to be alone as well. That's why we do this, and we're out alone a lot. And I've experienced sort of isolation and solitude, as much as anyone. But I think that civilization is equally important to us, and one way that we can bring that with us when we're alone for so much of the time is sort of the style with which we bring the culture and the history. And when we're out there, we're not just alone, we're walking sort of with this group of people behind us.
Right.
And I see that in sort of your approach to both the horsemanship and the dogs.
Right. Right.